Hi there, Joe Cassidy again, and I don't do this a lot, hardly ever, but I have a message to a message of apology to sort of give, and that is, to the fans of the Resident Evil series, I apologize for looking so negatively at Resident Evil 6. Now, you're probably wondering to yourself, well, I bagged so much on Resident Evil 5, like, wouldn't I have the same point of view at Resident Evil 6? That's what I thought too. I really went into this video game, you know, after coming up with this deep, hated pit in my stomach and all of the bashing feedback on Resident Evil 6, how people didn't like it and how people thought it sucked and how people just, you know, there were so many problems with it. And I was with that. I really did not want to go into this game. I went to the drastic motion of telling my wife that we would not buy it. Like, I refused to purchase this $60 piece of shit if it was a piece of shit. Because, you know, games are expensive, and why would we want to play for something just tacked on with the Resident Evil name and and be sheep and buy the game because it's Resident Evil and because it's got a lot of money thrown into it and because it looks good. That's what I didn't want to do in the first place. I mean, hell, I rented Resident Evil 5. I would never purchase that piece of shit. But I'm sorry. But Resident Evil 6 is not that bad. I really regret the hated feelings I had about Resident Evil 6 before. Now, I'm gonna make this a short video, so let me explain. Resident Evil 6, compared to Resident Evil 5, is so much better. So much better. There are just things they've worked so well on and tweaked from Resident Evil 5. Resident Evil 5 was a Resident Evil 4 wannabe knockoff clone without anything fun. Resident Evil 6, it works. It does. For me, Resident Evil 6 is sort of like actually playing through one of the Leon CG movies. Probably not the first one. Maybe like the second Leon CG movie that came out, if you know it. But it was definitely more cinematic this time. It had a vibe going, a good atmosphere. I mean, sure, it was really dark, but I mean, darkness is one of the most important elements of horror. The unknown, looking into the shadows, not knowing what the hell is there. It kind of sucks sometimes because you have so much design, like, so much CG that is, like, just closed off into the dark. Usually, people use the dark, or in Silent Hill's case, the fog, to just sort of cover up where the developers couldn't add so much detail. But you didn't really need to with Resident Evil 6. I mean, sure, people probably turned up the brightness a lot, but again, they returned to horror elements. You know, the cathedral was a perfect place, and even in the beginning of the game, where you start out at the presidential banquet, it's good. It's really good. This hollow, empty, apocalyptic feeling. And that is kind of what Resident Evil is about. That's how it started out in Resident Evil 4, when you're just meandering through this forest, this quiet, dead forest. So, yeah, this was really working out. I could get into it. I mean, I admit, when I started Resident Evil 6, I was really hating on it. I couldn't help it. Even the tutorial at the beginning turned me off. I mean, it wasn't harmful. I didn't know why they had to do that before you had to get to the main screen, but yeah, you're forced to do this tutorial thing, and it's not even co-op, so only one player gets the achievement. But, I mean, big whoop. But eventually we did get to the co-op, and of course we played the Leon storyline. My wife is a big fan, and I like Leon too, and Leon is a good character in this movie. I mean, nothing fantastic, but Leon's character is always one that tries to make light of a horrible situation. If you had been through Resident Evil 4 and had gone through that shitstorm of Spain, this really turbulent, really messed up experience, something that might scar a lot of people. My wife is scarred by regenerators. She can't even play through that part anymore. But Leon, Leon S. Kennedy's a badass. He gets through it, and there's nothing more we can do. There's no point being mopey about it. There's no point being like fucking Chris Redfield in Resident Evil 5 and being such a serious definition. You couldn't have fun with Chris or Sheva in Resident Evil 5, but in Resident Evil 6, Leon brings it back. You like Leon because he wants you to just, I don't know, push through. We can't be in this very serious, depressing mode, and it contrasts with Helena's character in Resident Evil 6. They could have worked on this better because Helena's character is kind of just meh, but she has a very serious backstory, and it's okay. I mean, she's not really the funny one. She doesn't have any comebacks. She's Laura Bailey, and man, she is one popular voice actress for this day and age. I will tell you that. She is now the voice of Jaina Proudmoore for World of Warcraft. I'm proud of her for that. She's a good voice. She's probably going to be the next Wendy Lee. So besides that, you know, it's a good storyline for the Leon campaign. We haven't played any of the others yet, so I might have to make a rebuttal, and I might not even have to. Most of the mechanics are fixed in this game. You can actually move while aiming at the same time, you can move with a knife at the same time, and you can pull off amazing combo moves. When you're out of ammo, it gives you something to fight back with. Fucking hell, like, Helena's critical finish is the Hammer of the People, where she trips over a zombie and pile drives the shit out of it. It's great! I love it! Like, and I mean, of course, your health system is a little confusing at first, but eventually it works. You're never really in too much danger on normal mode. I like that they reduced things down to red herbs and green herbs and just went with a kind of like a pill system. You know, you create a 6-pack of herbs and you just pop one every time with your RB button. And then you also get your first aid sprays for a full heal. So, you know what? It's good. The mechanics go on completely uninterrupted. And that's how I have to say for the rest of this game. Everything feels uninterrupted, like you're in the scene the entire time. When something happens, it doesn't matter where you are in the game. It never feels out of place. You're always in the right position at the right time for the game to keep going and going, like you're in a movie. Really, that's what it is. It's a pretty good game. I mean, if you're into that kind of cinematic thing, it's not as creative as a lot of other games want you to be, like to give you the kind of tools and strategies. But you know what? Speaking of strategies, they took out a lot of the fuck me lights, and I'm so grateful for that. We actually had trouble when it came to the multiple serried final boss, but hell, we got to take down a giant Plagosaurus Rex. I'm not lying. But it was badass, dude. We did it ourselves. We had to figure it out. I mean, we had trouble, but that's what a game should be. It should be hard enough that you need to think outside the box to get it done. And you know what? Thanks. Thank you, Resident Evil 6. You are a lot better than Resident Evil 5. And that may be me counting my chickens too early, and I haven't gotten to the rest of the campaigns again. And I hope I didn't spoil too much for you, but you know what? There are so many people bagging on Resident Evil 6. I wanted to be one of them, but I can't. It's not that bad. It's actually pretty good. It's got a very good movie feel to it. It's got atmosphere. It's got Leon. And done right. I mean, sure, Chris is probably going to be serious again, but hey, we have 2 different campaigns to play on, and 6 characters to choose from, so they have this whole group dynamic going on. That's pretty much all I have to say about Resident Evil 6. So, to Mrs. Cassidy, I sincerely apologize, and I guess that means I need to trust my wife more often.